Hi class, in this section we're going to talk about dividing polynomials by monomials. And you'll see a problem that looks like this one, and when it's written as a big fraction, what we want to do is actually break it up and look at it as three individual fractions, where each one of these numbers on top is individually being divided by the number on bottom, in this case 3. So I'm going to rewrite it as three fractions, 15x squared over 3 minus 12x over 3 plus 6 over 3. And when you look at it this way, you realize that really each one of those numbers is just supposed to be divided by the 3. So it's really 15 divided by 3 is 5, and then you just bring down the x squared. And then it's negative 12 divided by 3, which is negative 4, and you bring down the x. And then plus 6 divided by 3, which is 2. And that is your simplified answer for this problem. Let's try another. So we look at this problem. Now you've got a monomial on the bottom that also has a variable. So there's a little bit more canceling involved, but again, I write it as three individual fractions because there's three numbers on top. If there was 4, you would write it as 4 fractions. So I write it as 5m to the third divided by 5m squared, and then minus 9m squared over 5m squared, plus 10m over 5m squared. So now we got to think back to not only our division of numbers, but also our division of variables with powers. So first of all, the 5 divided by 5 is just a 1. So we get 1. And then m to the third divided by m squared, what you're supposed to do is cancel. So these two m's will cancel out with two of these, so you subtract, and that'll turn into a 1. Okay, so that turns into m to the first power. And we don't actually usually write the ones, but I'll write it for now. And then we go to the next one, which has negative 9 divided by 5, and that doesn't reduce, so we just write negative 9 over 5. Okay? And then we have m squared divided by m squared. Anything divided by itself is just a 1, so it just turns into a 1. You don't need to put the variable there. And then finally, plus 10 divided by 5 is 2. So we write 2, and it's positive 2. And now m on top, and then there's m squared on the bottom. So what you do with that is, since there's 1 on top, you take this one and cancel it out with one of these ones on bottom. And so now there's an m on the bottom. In other words, the 2 is over an m still, because the 2 is on the bottom. Or the m is on the bottom, sorry. So your final answer would be m minus 9/5 plus 2 over m. Now the reason why, again, there's an m down on the bottom over here is because the larger power was on the bottom, the m squared, and so when they reduced, you're left with 1 on the bottom. And finally, we've got a two-variable monomial on the bottom, so when we break it up, it's going to be a little bit more canceling. So we've got 8xy squared over x squared y squared minus 9x squared y over x squared y squared plus 6x squared y squared over x squared y squared. Now notice, again, I broke them up based on the separation with the addition and subtraction signs here. Okay, that's how I know that each one of those gets its own fraction and divided by x squared y squared. So now I do the reducing as much as possible. Of course, there's no division with the numbers, so all the numbers will be staying. The 8's going to be here. But now I cancel as many x's and y's as possible, and I look and I see that there's 1 x on top. I got 2 on the bottom, so I cancel this one and make 1 on the bottom. I've got y squared divided by y squared. That cancels completely, and so I'll write the answer over here. I'm just left with 8 over x to the first power. And now I do the next one. So I'm going to have minus 9. That's not going to change. The x squared over x squared, those both cancel each other out because anything divided by itself is just 1. And then the y, the 1y on top, cancels out with one of the y's on the bottom. So that cancels out with one of these, and you're left with 1y on the bottom. So you have negative 9 over y to the first power. Okay? And then, finally, we have our positive 6 X squareds cancel, y squareds cancel, so I write plus 6. And that is my final answer, reduced as much as possible. So 8 over x minus 9 over y plus 6 is my final answer.